That's stupid. Homophobia. Given the minimal amount of backlash I have gotten for my previous LGBT related topics, I have the feeling that this video will just be me preaching to the moderate left leaning choir. In other words, I will probably not reach the people I actually would love to address. But hey, the chances are still higher this way than not making this video at all. Okay, for starters, let's get some facts straight. No pun intended. 1. Homosexuality is real. Some people experience a sexual attraction to often exclusively other members of their own sex. Unless you want to claim that they all just pretend and fake their arousal, we all can agree on this no matter how you feel about it otherwise. 2. Homosexuality is not transferable. I assume I don't have to explain why it cannot be inherited, but it is also pretty safe to say that it is not infectious. Otherwise there would be thousands of credible cases of people catching the gay after a lifetime of inambiguous straightness. Which there are not. Plus, scientists would have been able to find an infective agent like a gay virus, since there can't be an infection without one. In summary, being homophobic means hating on people for something they have no control over and that it is not a direct danger to anybody else. Seems pretty unjustified, and yet so many people do. But why? Maybe I can shed some light on this issue with a confession. The thought of getting intimate with another guy grosses me out. I have no problem picturing myself tongue wrestling any girl I find attractive, and my inner slut would gladly continue onwards to less family friendly activities from there. At the same time, I would not even want to go to first base with the most attractive man around, let alone do anything more intimate. The mental image of doing so sends shivers down my spine, and not in a pleasant way. And if you are a straight guy or girl feeling the same way about members of your own sex, that is a-okay. Not being attractive to your own sex is part of the definition of being heterosexual after all. On the other hand, being straight does not imply that you automatically wanna hump every single representative of the other sex. Yes, not even for men. So let me ask you this. If you imagine the most unattractive representative of the other sex going by your own subjective standards hitting on you hard, does it feel that much different from imagining a generally attractive gay person hitting on you? There are of course additional factors playing into it, like a natural insecurity about your own sexuality that most people seem to have, and which puts you in a more defensive position when a gay person displays interest in you, not at least because of the question what others might think about you if you don't repel this gay person vehemently enough. Fun fact on that note, the stronger your reaction is, the more insecure you actually make yourself look. As somebody who is pretty confident in my own straightness, who was on the receiving end of a girl's high school crush, and who has been hit on by straight guys multiple times, let me tell you, it is mostly the same awkward feeling of no thanks. So if your discomfort with homosexuals is at least in part accompanied by the fear of getting hit on by them, it is probably just your subconscious building a defense against being put into an uncomfortable situation by a person you are unattracted to, and has less to do with what the person in question actually is. Now, there are of course less subjective arguments against homosexuality, and the majority of these can be summarized as unnatural, or the more loaded version, against nature. Well, that's stupid, or rather a wild mixture of hypocrisy, oversimplification and overbearance. Let's go through them one by one. As long as you have no issue with 100+ year old humans, cities where literally millions of us live together, artificially created animal breeds, or the invention of deep fried food, who are you to criticize anything for being unnatural? Least of all a phenomenon that can be observed in other animals as well, if not to the same degree. But then again, humans are, for better or for worse, special among the creatures of this planet. We have so many unique anomalies as a species. Taking offense with this one, while being a-okay with others, like the ability of complex thought that got us engaged in this discussion in the first place, all this is very hypocritical. And also not paying tribute to the complexity of the situation. You will be hard pressed to find anybody who disagrees that homosexuality is a trait that can only function within the minority of a species. Any life form with different sexes for the purpose of procreation is by default heterosexual. And until we develop into a sci-fi dystopia where babies get conceived and grown in artificial wombs, this fact will stay true for us humans too. But just because some trait is unusual and doesn't fit into the very basic idea of procreation doesn't make it against nature. Nature is far too complex to jump to such a simplified conclusion. What brings me to how overbearing this entire assumption is. How do you know it is, quote, unnatural to begin with? Are you a certified specialist for research into homosexuality who has found conclusive evidence that its origin is artificial? I most certainly am not. And last I checked, we are also still lacking any final conclusive evidence about the nature of homosexuality. Is it a harmless byproduct of some other traits? Is it actually a mental illness like some keep claiming? Or is it maybe even nature's own countermeasure in order to stop us from overpopulating? The good news is I actually have a valid answer to all these questions. Repeat after me. I don't know. And until you can honestly and based on evidence claim otherwise, please do not make statements like it's against nature. But of course, not everybody needs actual scientific evidence to know that certain things are bad, or to use their terminology, sinful. Yes, I am afraid I will not be able to avoid religion on this one. But no worries, I will keep it respectful and surface level since religion itself isn't today's topic. So, your religious teachings include something about homosexuality being bad. Unless you are a fundamentalist and uphold the unhealthy belief in the literal interpretation of scripture in the face of overwhelming evidence to the contrary, you already accepted your religion might not provide a perfect picture of God's will, which is a reasonable approach given that imperfect humans have been involved. Now, as I established in the beginning, homosexuality is real. So why would a good and just God give some of us this kind of orientation if following it is against his will? This question should give anybody at least reason to pause and wonder if the message got accidentally, or maybe even intentionally, messed up by the humans who passed it on. But even on the off chance that God's unfair disapproval of something he ultimately initiated himself and could fix any time should be real after all, you should have no need to be homophobic. As long as you are not indulging in it yourself and live a faithful and straight life, homosexuality cannot harm you, and you have no reason to antagonize folks afflicted by it. You don't have to be okay with it, but leave the judgment and punishment to the big pro upstairs. Not at least because he is the only one who truly knows which rules really apply. To address one final topic in a far too short manner that doesn't do justice to its gravity, do children adopted by homosexuals grow up confused without both archetypal role models present? While this is not an argument to justify homophobia, but more a general question even open-minded people ponder about, it should not go completely unaddressed. Not at least because I can debilitate it with a single sentence. Good gay parents are objectively better than no parents or abusive straight parents. And given that gay people usually become parents through adoption, they have to go through a screening process that significantly reduces the risk of them being bad parents. Unlike, for example, irresponsible straights who accidentally reproduce without wanting or caring for offspring. Well, this is as much as I can cover in a single video. If you think I did a convincing job in challenging people's reasons to be homophobic, feel free to share this video, especially with those you think should hear my points themselves. If you think I did a bad job or missed some arguments, I am pretty sure you will let me know in the comments down below. Either way, don't be an ass to people who have done nothing to hurt you for a harmless trait they didn't ask for, because that's mean. Oh, and stupid. That's stupid. No, seriously guys, there isn't any legit reason to be a dick towards and or afraid of gay people. Period. Not to say, unless somebody's coming on to you personally or moves in on your date, the sexuality of others shouldn't matter to you at all. But at this point I would just end up repeating myself. So let's rather look forward to next time when I tell you why video game sequels are stupid.